I'm just trying to get rid of the bottle.
I was going to say, you and me have drank it trying to get rid of it. You've used it to cook in to try to get rid of it, and there's still like a third of it left.
Yeah. I mean, I've even just poured it while you went to the bathroom as a chaser. and you called me out on it.
Yeah. That's right. I do. I knew exactly what it was. Either that or the pot still.
Hello, and welcome to episode 36 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Michael, Anthony, and Steven. Hey, gentlemen.
So I made a real quick suggestion earlier that we should buy some cameos and get some celebrities to do that part, since he's obviously not going to give up control to us.
Wait. Are you saying you don't like my intro?
Just saying I think the listeners would like to hear a new voice every now and then.
Maybe Rod Stewart?
So go ahead and
Celine Dion?
Drop a comment in the comment box about what celebrities you'd like to hear do our intro.
Yeah, we got no shame. We'll contact these people and try to get them to do our intro. And I think that we might have good success when they, people like bourbon, so they might want to do this.
And the other day we joked in our text group about the numbers spiking on an episode of downloads, and I jokingly said that the kids in my class, I made them all download the episode. And a couple of days later, Steve was like, "Did you really make them do that?" I said, "No, that would be like on The Office where they talk about when Ryan goes to prison as the CEO. He misled the shareholders by making sales that weren't really there. That's what I would have been doing. I would have been misleading the shareholders."
If we can get somebody to do a cameo intro, who would be your number one person? I would get Jim Morrison to come back from the grave and go, "Well, I'm not sure if you're aware, but this whole episode is being recorded for eternity and beyond that too, man. Yeah, so
Enrique Iglesias.
Oh,
he gets the Latino accent. I guarantee you our female numbers would shoot through the roof.
There you go.
Maybe a little Mike Tyson. Hello and welcome to the...
That'd be pretty good.
I like it. I like that.
All right. So anyway, if you haven't listened to all of our episodes, I would say that if you plan on standing in line at Buffalo Trace on a Saturday morning...
Wait. First, go ahead and stop and go back to episode 1.
That's right.
We'll wait here for you.
That's right. We'll wait right here because I guarantee you there are 35 other episodes that you want to listen to. But charge that phone, put your headphones in, go stand in line on a Saturday morning at Buffalo Trace, and you can get every one of our episodes in while you wait to get your
What am I waiting for?
Bourbon cream, Wheatley vodka.
Oh, the stuff I can get down at the grocery store?
You can get you some Freddy's root beer.
That's the best day when Freddy's root beer is available. That's it.
You can get you a Buffalo Trace T-shirt.
The merch.
Also, you have a 1 in 4 chance of getting Eagle Rare, Weller Special Reserve, Blanton's, or E.H. Taylor Small Batch.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So that's why they're waiting there?
So yeah. So if you haven't followed the What Does Buffalo Trace Have Today Facebook, it is quite the comedy.
Yes.
Quite the comedy routine.
And what happened was, I think it was it about a year ago now?
I think so. It's when it kind of blew up.
Yeah, so about a year ago in the local groups here where people are, bartering over bourbon, people would always ask in these local groups, has anybody been to Buffalo Trace today and what do they have? And so somebody finally created a group called What Does Buffalo Trace Have Today?
And it's got like 35,000 people in it now.
It's got a ton of people.
Huge.
Yeah, it's massive, and people will post pictures of the massive lines that form. There's 3,000? No, not 3,000. There's probably like 500 people there on a given morning waiting for...
On a weekend, yeah.
On a weekend, yeah.
Yeah, but lately it seems like it's gone crazy. The pictures of the lines are like 500 people deep and at 9:15, and you don't really know what you're getting, what's offered up there until you get to the front. Like, I'm sure the word gets to the back from the front, but like you don't really know when you start lining up.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing. So you see the pictures of the lines, and you're like, I can't believe there's so many people at Buffalo Trace. And then it's almost like someone will post a sign that they put out that says what they have, and then it's like a whole other layer of, and we're like, hooray, or it's only special reserve, it's only this.
And you can only buy one of these bottles every 3 months.
Yes,
so
like they scan your ID.
So if you stand in line for 3 hours and you get up there and it's Weller Special Reserve, that's the only Weller Special Reserve you can buy at the distillery for 3 months.
So you better savor the flavor, right?
So do they have enough like inventory for that long of a line?
No, they'll sell out. Like, I mean,
do they bring like one pallet of boxes out there and let's go?
No, they bring quite a bit. Like,
Yeah.
I would say maybe everybody in line would probably get one like at the initial rush, but then by like 11 or 12 o'clock they're probably gone.
Oh yeah, I just meant the people
and it's
online.
not often, but occasionally I've seen people, because I do like to follow what people are saying on there, not from just to see the conversation. They'll say, "Man, they were out of it," or "They were sold out when I was there," and how'd they put more back out? And so occasionally there's a little gap.
And lately, like I've noticed the last couple of days, they've sold out of something and then they put something different up. So like, they run out of Eagle Rare, but then they'll start putting Muller Special Reserve out. So like you might have missed out on one, but you can get the other. So did you see the one? No, there's a couple of them, but did you see the one the other day where the guy's like, "I'm about 3.5 hours out." He goes, "You think they'll still have Blanton's when you get there?" And somebody replied, they're like, "You're going to drive 7 hours round trip to buy a bottle."
Hey, I'll tell you what though, I think that Blanton's is the biggest draw there, followed by if you were to rank them, I think that Blanton's gets the most attention,
E.H.
then
Taylor.
E.H. Taylor, then Eagle Rare,
Yeah.
and then Special Reserve. But sometimes people get a little crazy over the Special
Yeah,
Reserve.
I think the Special Reserve is probably last because there's a lot of people that come from Ohio, and of course they can get the Special Reserve, you know, pretty regularly. But it's become like, to me, the comments on that page are like, those of you that listen that live in Lexington or Fayette County, you all know a few years ago the Fayette County Public Schools Facebook page would always go crazy on like snow days, and they would have all the comments on people, and that's what this has become. Like it is. I mean, like the guy the other day that asked, you know, when they were going to if you could dip your bottle in the red wax at the gift shop.
That was amazing.
Oh, I mean the comments. I mean, within 5 minutes there were 400 comments on that one.
Yeah,
and then he deleted it, or somebody deleted it.
Well, that's the thing. You can't tell who's joking, and I mean, I hate to be the admin of that group, but even if you're not a person who's going to be going to the distillery to buy anything, you should be part of that group just for the comedy of it and the fun and I don't know. It's part of the culture, right? It's almost folklore at this point after a year.
I don't know why anybody would want to be an administrator of any bourbon Facebook group, because I mean it is
Get created and then they get taken down.
Yeah,
And now people are nuts.
The only thing that I can think of is like, you know, I didn't even realize this till the other day, a couple of weeks ago at least, that, you know, the administrator, the admin, you know, sees a post before it goes up. And so like if you're in one of these local groups and somebody posts something that they've got, you know, Blanton's at Kroger, the admin can see it before it goes up. And
that's why you want to be the admin of the group.
Yeah, so you can go over.
Said you can be over at Kroger getting that.
You can
Blanton's.
determine when that goes online, and then you've already been there, you know, and you can get what you want.
Yeah, let me just
know.
delay this sucker by 3 hours,
Right,
and I'll just
it's
clear the shelves, and then I'll be back.
That's exactly right. It's the only thing I could think of, because otherwise you deal with all these idiots that are getting mad at each other and all that stuff.
Well, guys, today we have a bottle. It is a Jefferson Reserve, very old Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, very small batch.
That's a lot of descriptors.
It's a lot of
That
berries.
is very old and very
Very small.
Very small.
Just what the ladies like.
Very old, very small.
It's going to take me a minute to recover from that one. This is Jefferson's Reserve. The distillery is now Kentucky Artisan. So when Jefferson started, they weren't really producing anything. They were sourcing everything, but apparently now they're doing either their own distilling or contract distilling at Kentucky Artisan. The bottle date on the bottle we have tonight is 2017. The ABV on this one is 45.1, 90.2 proof. It's non-age stated, but everything we've read about this one online says that it's a very small batch, means 8 to 12 barrels, and I don't know if there's validity to this, but some of the releases that I've read say that the bourbon in the bottle can be as old as 20 years, but it's definitely a blend. They're not saying there's an age statement. So,
There's an age statement. It's very old.
it's very old, but that's the thing. If it's very old, it has some 20 year-old bourbon in it, then that's possible, but it could be like 5%. But anyway, the mash bill is undisclosed, and the MSRP on this one comes in around $41.
So is this this isn't the lowest priced Jeffersons there is there? I think there's
Is there just a straight up Jefferson?
I think there's just a small batch or like
Not a reserve?
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Even
Actually,
though
I
to
can-
me
I can
the
look that up.
reserve seems like they're low line, but there could be something else.
So there's Jefferson's and then there's Jefferson's Reserve.
Okay, yeah, this is Jefferson's.
Yeah, so this is Jefferson's Reserve. So this is the second in the
The second tier?
second tier of,
Okay.
of Jefferson's.
All right.
So I'm looking at the bottle, and I like a bottle that has multi uses. So I look at this one. You finish this one off, and you take the cork off, and you got a new knob for your cabinet doors.
You do.
It does look like that.
One of those breaks. You just go buy me a Jefferson's, and I get the knob. It's got a good roundish wood. It's a nice looking top.
I like it.
So they have a neck tag on the Jeffersons, and I was commenting that it's generic because it's the same one on all of them because it goes through, it lists all of the Jeffersons on the back and the proof and all that kind of stuff. But it gives a little bit of history, and it says like our third president. Did you guys know that was Thomas Jefferson was our third president?
Indeed.
Yes.
Could you tell us our second? Could you tell me the second?
That
Andrew.
was Andrew Jackson? No.
No, I need to know. Like I don't know. I think it's John Adams.
John Adams?
Yes, but
Quincy? Or John
no,
Adams?
just John Adams.
Okay.
The OG John
okay,
Adams.
Okay.
So, like our third president, this bourbon is complex, elegant, and full of sophistication. It's been aged slowly and reached maturity naturally. So, no hormones in this thing, I guess.
Yeah. All natural.
So, do you know what Thomas Jefferson is most famous for as president?
I would yield to the history professor on this one.
He was
Teacher.
president during the Louisiana Purchase. What a trade, right? What
It's a
trade.
big,
So before this
big piece of
episode,
land for not that much money.
Before this episode, we were talking about some of our best bourbon trades, and I said I had a Stag Junior batch 8, and I traded it for a New Riff store pick because a guy in Michigan couldn't get New Riff at that time. I don't know; they still might not be able to, but and I was like, man, that was a heck of a trade for me.
Wait, we got to clarify. You sent a new riff
Yeah,
off.
no,
Yes,
I sent him a New Riff that is $40-something here.
Oh, yeah. That's
And
a hell of a trade.
And at that time, it was probably a pretty even trade, and now Stag Junior has just skyrocketed. But
Were you channeling Jefferson?
Thomas Jefferson,
must have been channeling.
he knew what he was doing. I mean, he ripped off France like it was nothing. He said Napoleon had the Louisiana Purchase, and he says we'll trade for that. We'll trade.
Love it. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it.
And Stephen said he's glad because that gave us what?
Baby says.
Baby Says. That's
Baby
right.
says, which I love
Oh, yeah.
tremendously.
That's so good.
I might have 12 bottles of Baby says. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I might. Maybe.
And then you still buy it every time you see it.
And I still buy it when I see it.
I like the bottle a lot.
I do too.
I
No, it is.
like the top. I like the shape of it. I like the rounded corners. It's a good looking bottle.
And I believe all of their bottles are the same shape.
Yeah.
They changed the cork on top.
Yeah, it looks like
and a sticker.
an elegant flask, like a very elegant and antique
That's a good-
flask.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I've noticed
It almost looks like it's old antique glass looking at it from the side.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's got the old font and all that. It's they've done a good job with that. I've noticed in bourbon groups that are outside of Kentucky, Jefferson's has a much higher value. I mean, as far as people wanting, buying it and thinking they're getting a really good, really good bottle down there, in other places.
Big fans of number 3, huh?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think they do. I think they see it. It's probably because of the display of it,
Yeah, definitely nice looking. Good marketing.
Should we go for our first notes, gentlemen?
There you go.
There's burn
Definitely a lot of ethanol on the nose.
for a 90.2.
Yeah. I mean, to give a descriptor, it almost smells more like some of the stuff that we tasted when we did our budget week. But there are some characteristics of
I'm getting the caramel vanilla.
caramel, vanilla, your classic bourbon nose.
Yeah, I don't get anything unique.
Yeah,
No,
nothing super unique.
Pretty
Yep.
standard.
But we've had good things that had standard smells.
Exactly.
And
So,
the color is also very, very light.
Yeah, medium light. Like,
have you ever seen the color of the regular Jeffersons? It's very, very light.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is that 80 proof?
I don't know, but they like using very, so I'm going to use 2 of them there.
Wow.
Very, very light.
Very light, old, and
very
I can actually
small.
look that up real quick.
Very small.
The regular is
86, 84.
82.3.
That's good.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So
How'd you like to be that master distiller?
I had to do a little math in my head there on this one because the ABV is 41.15. That's 82.3, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of all the noses, this one's just kind of it's just there. It's not super remarkable. It's just
I get a
there.
lot of like grass or
grain.
yeah,
Just
grain,
grain.
like harsh grain.
Yeah, a lot of harsh grain. Yep. If you hear a harsh grain ethanol, then you got to wonder. But we'll see. What do you guys think?
You know what? I've never gotten that grass note before that you all have talked about, but I'm getting like the. Do you guys keep your lawnmower in your garage?
We do.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
I
know,
do.
I do,
after you
yeah.
mow the grass and then you shut the garage door, then you go in the garage later. You kind of got that grassy smell.
Yeah,
in
the
your
wet
garage.
grass. Yeah.
That's what I get.
And that's not necessarily pleasing.
So would you hate me if I swept off my lawnmower before I put it back in the garage?
I imagine if anybody did in this group, it'd be you.
I was gonna say I think
He doesn't know what we're talking about with the grass smell.
What's the smell are you talking about?
I think last time I put my lawnmower away, it still had a half bag full.
Yeah, I
of
know.
grass.
I'm
Just jumped it in
just so
there.
tired at that point.
Just moved on.
Just move it on in there.
Let's taste up, gentlemen.
Stephen, what do you think?
It's not the most pleasant palate.
No, mine went from very sweet to very bitter, and I don't know. I think that's characteristic of a pretty terrible bourbon.
It's got a harsh taste to it.
Yeah. There are a few things, there are 2 things I don't like in bourbon. The first one is a very young wood flavor, almost like I always liken it to this. If anybody has ever cut wood, like with a reciprocating saw or anything, and you really get in there, that smell that you get, which is essentially like the wood kind of burning, that's just fresh wood. I don't really like tasting that in my bourbon. And the other thing I hate tasting is the grain that's so green that it tastes like grass or like you're describing. That's what I'm tasting. I'm not tasting the harsh wood. I'm just tasting a lot of ripe grain that's not pleasing to my senses.
But the bottle looks nice.
I agree on the grain.
It's just because I can't get past it. I don't know what else I'm tasting besides I would say grass or straw, almost like a straw flavor. Ugh. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I had enough of it to know that I don't really like it.
Now you think the bottle this could be different because since this is a small, very small batch. Think bottle to bottle, we could just have a bad bottle.
It's very possible because if Jefferson's is holding true to what they say, which is an 8 to 12 barrel batch,
It's pretty small.
that's
very small.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I'm gonna make fun of them for saying very small, but that's very small. You won't find anybody really doing that besides craft distillers that are trying to make the best of what they have. I'm guessing there probably is some variation between what we're drinking tonight and other
But
small
I'm guessing
batches.
it's not very, but it's not much better. I mean,
Yeah.
if you got 12 barrels and they all are terrible, you blend them together, it's still going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Just off the color alone, it's very light.
Well, I'll be
I
honest.
just can't imagine getting much flavor out of those barrels.
Yeah, when you think about this, you got a father-son combo, Trey and Chet Zeller, the father's Chet and son's Trey, and they've taken this brand and they've kind of gone off into parts unknown with a lot of the different things they're doing, a lot of experimental stuff. But I think when they started off, they kind of made their name on the fact that they sourced some really good barrels back in the day. I'm talking old Stitzel Weller barrels and all kinds of stuff that they sort of made their name on. I think that this is a very, very, very far cry from that, to use our very, very, very analogy. So,
Do you think the Jefferson's is mainly a source product?
I'm not sure because they have that affiliation now with Kentucky Artisan, but I know when they started off, they were sourcing a lot of stuff. That's all they were doing. They were probably one of the original NDPs that put out good product that people cared about and wanted to buy.
Is there a What Does Jefferson's Have Today Facebook group, where everybody,
I don't think so.
300 people line up on Saturday morning to get the very small batch and very old Jeffersons.
Yeah, not sure. Unless they're out in the ocean on like a little dinghy chasing the
Well, you know,
ocean age stuff.
Steven's our resident Jeffersons collector here.
That's right.
He
All
has
by
more, he has
accident.
more bottles than I guarantee you anybody in Kentucky has. All by happenstance. People give them to him as gifts, or
I guess I bought 2 of them, and I have got 2 as gifts.
Is that what happened though? People came over and they saw that you had Jeffersons, and they're like, "I'll get them some Jeffersons." Or
No,
what,
I think it
what
was
happened?
completely coincidental.
and I think it's just the bottle looks nice, so people buy. It's a good looking bottle and
So
moderately priced. So
So the story on this, how I got this bottle, is that I went to a store, and I was talking to the bourbon salesman, and I was going to buy a bottle of Michter's. And
Very good.
Good
Thank
job.
you. Thank
You're
you for
practicing.
practicing.
Very good.
Yep.
I like it.
And he talked me into the Jefferson's Reserve, I think.
he must be getting commission on that.
Must have been. So that's how I put the Michter's down, and I got this instead.
I think this is a good lesson into why sometimes you shouldn't listen to the person working at the liquor store. And no disrespect to that person, because maybe at some point in time they had a better batch of Jeffersons.
Well, you know what? I mean, him saying that, and then I had a friend at church saying that, they liked this years ago.
Okay.
So those kind of back to back, I was like, okay, I'll trust your opinion, and I'll buy this.
It just came to me. Maybe what we're dealing with then is that Jefferson's, like a lot of companies, sourced a lot of cherry good barrels, right? Some great stuff early on when they started. And now they're dealing with the remnants and everything else, and that's kind of what you're getting. I mean, I could be completely wrong here, but based on what you're telling me, it sounds like that might be the case.
So my Jefferson's experience a little bit different. Well, similar. I think I got duped as well. It was about 12 years ago. I didn't know anything about bourbon. A buddy of mine came in town. We went to a liquor store, decided we wanted to have some bourbon that night. 12 years ago, it was pretty easy to find.
You probably passed up a well of 12 on that.
I probably did.
Or an antique was just sitting there.
Yeah, I guarantee,
or birthday.
I guarantee you I did. But
Yeah.
So anyway, so my buddy,
Anthony, what's wrong with him?
I mean, seriously. He picked, did you get the Weller 12?
Continue with your story.
That's what I thought. Okay. So anyway, my
That's
buddy
amazing.
picks up the Blantons, knowing nothing about it, but it was right there on the shelf. Look, he likes the horse topper and all that kind of stuff. Thought that was cool. We probably had a few that night. As a matter of fact, I think we might have taken a cab down there. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna collect all these."
A cab?
We're
there
talking
was no
like back in
Ubers
the
12
day,
years
man.
ago.
Come on, man.
How old are you?
Well, if you learned in the J.P. Weiser episode, I'm born in 1982. So anyway, he buys the Blantons, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I like the Jeffersons. It's got the silhouette of Thomas Jefferson on the back, look cool." And I think I got the wrong end of that deal.
Well, that speaks
I
to
was
that marketing.
Napoleon in Russia on that trade. Napoleon in France, I mean.
There you go. Hey, you could be Russia or France. It doesn't matter.
It
at this
doesn't really
point, does
matter.
it, right?
Or dynamite?
Could have been.
Could have
Any
been.
of them.
That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a high class looking bourbon, but a low class tasting bourbon, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's just jump to the chase here, gentlemen. Would you pass, try, or buy on the Jefferson's Reserve?
I am going to head out front here and say that I'm going to pass. So I had a bottle of Jefferson's way back when I was at Penn State. Shout out to Penn State. So I was over there in what late 2000s, so about 7 to 2011, 2007, 2011, and I didn't drink a lot of bourbon at that time. As I've said in previous episodes, I was into craft beer, but I too, like Michael, bought the Jeffersons because it looked cool. And I remember I enjoyed that bottle and enjoyed it as relative to what I know now, and tasting a variation of that for the first time, probably the first time or maybe second time since so long ago, maybe 2009, I am 100% pass.
So not only am I passing, I'm taking every bottle of Jefferson's I have and trying to sell it or give it away and get rid of it.
Ooh, that's strong.
So much that my wife, I told her, it's so terrible, just take it and bake with it. You know, put it in a pie. Well, actually, she was doing that long before I knew it was terrible. But you know, when I had that first bottle that I thought was really good bottle at that time, because I knew nothing about it and knew nothing about bourbon, and she needed some bourbon for a pie, she just poured that one in there, and I was like, you know, we buy cheap stuff for that, right? But anyway, point is, I'm passing. Regular Jefferson's is terrible. This is terrible.
Well, that's funny because this bottle does not hold up well in a pie. So, I know that from firsthand experience.
Okay.
So you've really tried. I mean,
I'm just trying to get rid of the bottle.
I was gonna say, we and me have drank it, trying to get rid of it. You've used it to cook in to try to get rid of it, and there's still like a third of it left.
Yeah. I mean, I've even just poured it while you went to the bathroom as a chaser, and you called me out on it.
Yeah, that's right. I do. I knew exactly what it was. Either that or the pot still, and I knew.
I guess you didn't have that many.
Oh my god, that's
Well,
amazing.
I'm gonna pass as well. It is not, from the notes to the taste, and even at $41. I mean, if this thing was maybe sub 10, might have a different story.
Yeah,
but being probably 4 times more than I'm willing to pay for it.
Yeah,
it's a hard pass.
$10 to $20 range for me. But one thing I will say, you guys
like one
can jump in.
Jefferson.
Yeah,
And he's on a 20, isn't he?
he's a 20. I would think one thing I will say is bourbon palates and tastings are subjective, and so you know everybody likes different things. And so if you like Jefferson's out there, that's fine. And I know that they have a whole catalog of products. So I did recently have a chance to taste a cognac rye, which is a completely different thing here, and I did enjoy it. And so can't dismiss the brand all the way around, but for this regular stuff, like I'm not going out looking for it.
It's subjective, but I think we can all agree. You'll probably
Or
agree
just like a single barrel. I mean, these very small batches could be the same thing.
That's true. And then they have all the ocean age stuff too. So I know I joked about the dinghy chasing the boats around, but I mean, I have had the ocean aged weeded mash bill, and I did enjoy that too. So I can't completely rag on Jefferson's. They do some good things, but this is not a good representation of bourbon at all.
Well, one good thing about having Anthony around is those bottles the fill levels go down quite a bit when he's over here.
They sure do.
I mean, he's trying to get rid of it for us.
I'm trying to help him out.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see this thing laying in the sink empty when next time I'm over here.
Yeah, we always like floaters.
Well, I don't know if that's going to happen because I wanted to have a little bit more of it but I'm still not liking it, so I just got to stop. I'm actually going to bring the bottles I don't like to your house, so I'll have to drink them.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY. Also, let us know your thoughts on this bottle in the comment section, because I'm sure they'll be lively. Until next time, keep it neat.